All right, let's get started quick. I just wanted to come on for a very quick live stream. We're not doing a full show tonight. At least I'm going to try not to do a full show tonight, but I want to come on because there's a couple breaking news topics. If you haven't already, by the way, subscribe to my channel, Florida Millennial. You can press the icon in the bottom right corner. If you are watching on X, I go live usually every night around this time, a little bit later, but not Friday nights, usually not Friday nights. But there's a few breaking news items that I've noticed and I think are worth talking about. So follow me on X, go to my YouTube, subscribe. Lots of stuff going on there. I just released a electoral college map prediction. This is a best case scenario for Trump. I'm going to do a best case scenario for Kamala as well. So go check that out. But here are the two things I want to talk about. If you haven't heard already, there is a big push now, and this happened, I want to say back in the spring for the first time, but there's a big push now for Nebraska's electoral college votes to be winner take all. And a lot of people, when I say that, they might think, like, what the heck are you talking about? But right now, as it stands in Nebraska, almost every state, just to clarify, so people who don't know, in almost every state in the union, except for two, it's winner take all, meaning you win the popular vote in Florida or Georgia or Colorado, you win everything. You win all the electoral votes. 10 electoral votes in Colorado, you win 50+% in Colorado, you get 10 electoral votes. Okay. In Nebraska, they've done it by district. So they've cut out certain districts. So I think in Nebraska, it's 5 votes up for grabs. But one of those districts in Nebraska is in a sort of bluish area. And what has happened is the Democrats have started to win that district. The other state that does this is Maine. Maine has 4 electoral college votes up for grabs in Maine. And Trump, it's sort of the opposite. Trump wins one of those districts because it's a rural red area. It's a Trump area. So in Maine, it's very likely that Trump is going to get 1 electoral vote out of the 4 in Maine. Now, the deadline to make sure that it's not winner take all in Maine and to make sure it's by district has passed. So Maine is going to be by district. But in Nebraska, I believe it's a different story. And this is just broke Friday night, tonight, that there is a push on the part of President Trump to make sure that he is able, or to try and make a push to see if they can get Nebraska to be winner take all. If Nebraska is winner take all, Trump will win all 5 Nebraska votes, electoral votes. If it is not winner take all, well, he loses one of them to Kamala. Now, why does this matter? You're saying this is craziness. This matters because it may very well come down to this. It may very well come down to this 1 electoral college vote. There are many scenarios I have done on the electoral college map, and I would say like 5% of the time, it comes up 269, 269. Now, in previous elections, you could like finagle your way into 269, 269, but now it's kind of easy to walk into 269, 269. With the swing states we're dealing with, and especially with the 1 in Maine and then the 1 in Nebraska, the 1 in Nebraska going blue, the 1 in Maine going red, it's very easy for us to walk into a tie. Now, I'm going to read the article just so we kind of know what's going on. This is just breaking. I don't even know how they plan on going about this, but let me just get this article up here so I can read it for you. Former President Donald Trump, this is in the Washington Post, by the way. Former President Donald Trump spoke by phone this week with a Nebraska state senator as part of the last-minute push to change how the state allocates its electoral votes and block the easiest path Vice President Kamala Harris has to win the White House. Senator Merv Rayep, is that how you say it? Rayepy? Said he spoke briefly by phone with Trump on Wednesday in the presence of Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen during a visit by Senator Lindsey Graham, who encouraged Republicans in the state's unicameral legislature to change to a statewide winner-take-all electoral system. I want the law changed. I've made no qualms about it, said Graham, an ally of Trump, who said he traveled to Nebraska at the request of Senator Pete Ricketts, the former governor. They were open-minded, I said. I said, listen, it's your decision to make. It comes down to one electoral vote. I want you to understand what that one vote would mean. Nebraska is one of two states that awards some of its electoral votes by congressional district, which has given Democrats a good shot at winning a single vote from the Omaha area. That's where it is, Omaha, and that's why it goes blue, because Omaha, Nebraska. And it's kind of more of a white-collar area. Mind you, probably not by other state standards, but the point is it's not as rural as the others, more metropolitan. With that vote, Harris can secure the 270 electoral votes needed to win the White House, as long as she also wins her three strongest battleground states: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. The change is supported by Trump, Pillen, all three of the state's U.S. senators and congressmen, and a majority of the unicameral legislature, according to people involved in the process. But Republicans have not yet been able to convince a supermajority of the legislature, all 33 Republican state senators, which would be needed to override a filibuster to pass the change before the November election. Trump previously pushed for the legislative change in April and was rebuffed by lawmakers. So there it is, April. I knew it was in the spring sometime. So let's just read that again, just to be clear. The change is supported by Trump, Pillen, the governor, all the state's U.S. senators and congressmen, and a majority of the unicameral legislature. But Republicans have not yet been able to convince a supermajority of the legislature, all 33 Republican state senators, which would be needed to override a filibuster to pass the change before the November election. Graham met Wednesday with Pillen and around 24 state senators about the proposal. Graham and Rieppe said, before the hour-long luncheon, Rieppe said he met with Graham and Pillen and spoke with Trump by phone for a minute or so. Trump stressed the importance of making the change and wasn't threatening in any way at all, Rieppe said Friday in an interview. Primarily, I think he was saying, look, this is important to me. I'm interested, and I want you to know that I'm not just taking anybody for granted. Pillen's office did not immediately respond for a request for comment. Three people involved in the process who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe internal deliberations said they think there are multiple holdouts to the change, which would probably face a political backlash in Omaha, where voters have embraced their outsized role in the presidential election and the financial benefits of presidential advertising and campaign visits that come with it. So candidates are starting to go to Omaha, Nebraska, when, I don't think a candidate has visited Nebraska during an electoral season probably since, well, who knows, many, many years ago. The people of the 2nd District are excited to get out to vote, and they are offended by the prospect of the governor and senators and out-of-state interests taking away the opportunity to have their voice be heard, State Senator John Kavanaugh said, a Democrat. Any politician who takes away their vote to have their voice be heard will feel the repercussions at the ballot box. One key holdout vote is State Senator Mike McDonnell, a former Democrat who joined the Republican Party in the spring after he was censured by Democrats for his anti-abortion views. He has recently said he opposes a winner-take-all system, but his office has suggested that he has not ruled out changing his mind. I'm not supporting winner-take-all, he said in April when he changed parties. This week, his spokesman Barry Rubin told the Nebraska Examiner Senator McDonnell has heard compelling arguments from both sides, and as of today, he is still a no. So it's looking like probably not going to happen unless he changes. McDonnell, a former firefighter who has deep ties to organized labor in the state, is widely considered a possible candidate for mayor in Omaha next year. That's why. He attended a larger meeting with Pillen and Graham on Wednesday, but has not spoken with Trump, said a person familiar with the events who spoke on condition of anonymity to describe internal conversations. The Harris campaign declined to comment. The Trump campaign did not immediately respond for a request to comment. A change to how Nebraska gives out its electoral votes. See, they're going to explain it here. A change to how Nebraska gives out its electoral votes could cause a 269 to 269 tie in the Electoral College. If Harris won only the three battleground states along the Great Lakes, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and not other big key swing states, If there were a tie, the House of Representatives would choose the next president, with each state's congressional delegation getting one vote. All House seats are up for election in November, but most observers expect Republicans will have an edge if that vote happens. Maine is the only other state that awards its electoral votes by congressional district, and Trump won one of the state's 4 electoral votes in 2020. Democrats who control the Maine legislature have said they would change to a winner-take-all system if Nebraska did, but there probably is not time to make the change in Maine for this election. To have the measure take effect before the electorals meet December 17th, lawmakers would need to pass it by a 2/3 margin, and Democrats do not have that many votes. Okay, so you get the picture. But and as you can imagine, people are freaking out about this on the left because they think that they're trying to steal the election, they're trying to whatever. By but making Nebraska once again a winner-take-all state. Now, I'm not sure when they started this being a winner-take-all state. I'm not sure when it became this way. But I'm pretty sure it's only been maybe in the last 2 cycles, because I really do not remember it being this way in the Obama elections. The first Trump-Hillary election, I don't remember it being like this. So anyway, so this is big news. I mean, if this does happen, which honestly, after I've read the article now and I've seen what needs to be done for it to happen, I am pretty pessimistic. I don't think it's going to happen. But in a race this tight, I mean, look, you need all the votes you can get, electoral votes, that is, and real votes. The other piece of breaking news I want to talk about is a new poll out of Virginia. Now, we had a few polls that came out, I want to say a month or so ago, that showed Trump within striking distance in Virginia, and people started talking about it, saying, "Is Virginia in play? Is it possible that they can win Virginia?" And now another one has creeped up. Now, as is mentioned here in this post, this is from I think it's Mary Walsh University or something. I've never even heard of this poll. University of Mary Washington, sorry. Tied presidential race among likely voters, Harris 47, Trump 46. And in the Senate race, Kane 49 and the other candidate 43. This was conducted before the debate. If you think that Harris had a big knockout punch during the debate, I guess you'd think, well, maybe this isn't accurate. Maybe she has a bigger lead now. I happen to think Virginia is going to stay blue. Even in my recent video, which you can check out on my YouTube channel, where I did an electoral map prediction for Trump's best case scenario. Even when I did that, even when I was taking a look at that, I had Virginia blue. Even on his best night, if everything goes right and he has an amazing night, an electoral college landslide, I still can't see Virginia going red. But every now and then, you see a poll like this, and it makes you think that maybe, just maybe, I mean, look, 2022 for governor, Glenn Youngkin was elected. Now, mind you, Glenn Youngkin is a far different type of Republican than Trump is. But there are people on the ground in Virginia saying that Youngkin is campaigning hard and organizing hard and fundraising hard for Trump. And he says Trump's got a chance at the state. So I don't know. I don't know what his chances are like there. I think in reality, he's probably down by, if I had to predict how the state will vote, I would say Trump will probably lose it by maybe 3, 4, 5 points. More likely 4 or 5 points. He lost it to Biden by 10 points. For him to make up 10 points would be quite an achievement. So we'll see what happens there. But I just wanted to talk about those two things because those are two breaking news things that have happened Friday afternoon tonight. So Virginia poll and then the Nebraska electoral votes, which it does not look like that is going to happen. I will keep you updated on that. As they mentioned in the piece in the Washington Post, Maine is kind of run out of time, I think, to make a change, but Nebraska apparently has not. It doesn't sound like they're going to be able to do it. This guy's running for mayor of Omaha, and he knows that there would be a revolt among voters in Omaha. And Omaha, by the way, as I've mentioned, is where that district is, and that's why it goes blue. Omaha, a lot of people are moving there. It's a lot of jobs, a lot of educated jobs, shall we say, soft skill jobs. And in the rest of the state, obviously, Trump does very well. So if, in fact, it goes to winner take all, Trump will get all 5. And normally you say, well, what's the big deal? One electoral vote. Well, when things are this tight, every vote matters. So we'll see how it goes. And we'll keep an eye on the polling in Virginia. I will reiterate, since we have a lot of people in here right now, I will reiterate what I talked about last night about what Trump's strategy should be. I really believe it should be targeting white male voters in Pennsylvania and the Rust Belt, because I think that's how he's going to win. And if you watched or had the dishonor of watching Kamala Harris's interview with Oprah, Kamala made a quip about if someone comes into her house, she's shooting them. That was not an off-the-cuff remark. That was planned. That was teed up by Oprah for her. Remember, this is in Michigan, I believe this took place. She is going after, with that comment, she wants to attract white working class male voters. That's who she's struggling with. That's why it's so tight in Pennsylvania. That's why she could lose Pennsylvania. And the campaign is really worried about that. And so that's why she made that comment. And everyone's saying it was a flub. Everyone's saying it was a gaffe. It was not a gaffe. It was planned. It was exactly what they wanted her to say. It was planned that she would say that when she was being interviewed by Oprah. There was no gaffe there. She's looking to get the white male vote because Trump is so popular with the white. Now, and I see people posting on Twitter, Trump, it's the young African-American males who they're surging with. But that's not who he needs to be focusing on. He needs to be focusing on white working class males. That's how he's going to win. White working class men in the Rust Belt. That's how he's going to win. And that's where he should focus. And I don't think he should be in New York. I think he should be in the Rust Belt states. So that's that. That's all I really wanted to come on and talk about tonight. I don't know if you all saw this, but Nate Silver has adjusted his prediction, his chance prediction. Now he has Kamala with a 51% chance, I believe, of winning. And people are wondering how it shifted from 60% Trump to 51% Harris in like a week or a couple of days. I'm not here to defend Nate Silver. I do look at his polling. I do look at his website pretty much daily. But I'm not saying that he's the one who's going to predict it correctly. But I will say that he wrote, this was probably a week and a half ago, he wrote on his website, Silver Bulletin, he said that it's very possible that this 60% chance for Trump will tighten because what's baked into that, or what was baked into that 60% chance for Trump, was that Kamala did not have a post-debate bump, post-convention bump in the polling. So he said, the further we get away from the convention, the tighter it's going to get, and the more that this chance model is going to tighten up, essentially. So he was saying he was kind of fending off a lot of Democrats who were like, "Well, what's going on here? Like 61% for Trump, chance for Trump when we're looking at all the polling and it's tight or she's leading." And he said, "Look, I had baked into the model that if she did not get a bump after the convention, that her chances would go down, and that's exactly what happened. There was no bump, as you recall, and one of the weird things of this election is nothing is really seeming to make any shift in the polling. You have two attempts on Trump's life, and it really didn't budge the polling that much. Like, yes, he was leading Biden, but I think that had more to do with Biden's disastrous debate performance than it really did the actual incident on July 13th. So it's really tough. You're always on the lookout for October surprises and whatnot, but you start to wonder if even an October surprise could ruin anything. I mean, let us not forget the biggest October surprise of them all, and that was the Access Hollywood tape in 2016. And that was what, October? I believe that came out October 7th, I want to say. It was the first week of October, like a month away from the election. And probably one of the worst, I would say one of, if not the worst, October surprises for a candidate in the history of presidential polling. And Trump went on to win. So, of course, we had the other October surprise with Comey, but it just seems like nothing really shifts no matter what happens. So that's that. Those are the two things I wanted to talk about. Otherwise, it's been pretty slow. We had a situation with the retaliation against Hezbollah retaliating. I don't know. I haven't looked into that, so I can't speak to that yet. But I mean, that's about it. Virginia, and then the Nebraska situation. So see if anything comes out over the weekend. I think the consensus is that the Oprah interview was a big fail for Kamala. They had Julia Roberts. They had Julia Roberts on there going, I have the privilege of traveling the world, and people they never say, "Oh, you're from America." They say, "Oh, how are things going there?" And it's like, the liberals and Democrats have changed a lot of positions, war, trade, everything. Democrats, I should say. But one thing that they have not released from their psyche is the constant need to make sure that Europeans are happy with how America is being run. And that is sort of their whole political ideology, is whatever makes Europeans happy when I'm there talking to them about America. And I remember, I'm old enough, believe it or not, to remember when George W. Bush was president, and it's like, Europe is so embarrassed by Trump. The world, or by Trump, by Bush, the world really just does not like Bush, and they're embarrassed. They think he's a cowboy, he's a dummy. And that was like the whole liberal talking point, was like, how can America have this as a president? He's embarrassing in the world. They're just obsessed with what the world thinks instead of what actual Americans think. And they're not concerned with what actually works for America and the American economy and the American worker and the American citizen. They're always worried about, well, what does Europe think? Like, what do my French friends think about America and the American president? That's like, they're obsessed with that, and they always have been. That's not actually a new development. So I just saw something, Truth Social from Donald Trump. Real Donald Trump. I saved flavored vaping in 2019, and it greatly helped people get off smoking. I raised the age to 21, keeping it away from the kids. Kamala and Joe want everything banned, killing small businesses all over the country. I'll save vaping again. Okay, so it is clear to me, and I talked about this last night, It is clear to me now that the Trump team believes that the way they're going to win this election is with millennial men, young men, 18 to 35 young men. That's how they think they're going to win it. And I have been talking about how this cohort has been moving. And I've talked to a lot of young men because I am one. This cohort is moving to Trump and voting Republican in numbers we have never seen before. The problem is I don't really think that's enough to win it. And the party, it seems to be obsessed with focusing on all these little fragmented groups, these small groups. What about the major group, the big group, white working class men? They vote in large numbers. Young people do not vote in large numbers. And it's clear he's trying to get them to vote. I mean, look, think about all the things Trump has done. And by the way, I'm not saying this is a negative strategy. He just needs to combine this strategy with targeting older white men too. Think of what he has done and in the past 2 months. He's been on every podcast that young men listen to. He went on Aiden Ross. He went on with the Prime guys. What's their name again? Logan Paul, Jake Paul. He went on with them. He went on with Lex Friedman. He's gone on almost every single one. He went on with Bryson DeChambeau. He's like doing the podcast circuit now. The only one he hasn't done is Joe Rogan. I don't really know why he doesn't do Joe Rogan, but whatever. He just doesn't seem to want to do Joe Rogan. But so he's done all these podcasts. And then the other night he's in New York and he goes to, what is it, like a crypto bar, and he makes a Bitcoin transaction. And you can tell he's like, what the heck? I don't even know what I'm doing here. So he does that. It's clear that they're really making a play for these voters. And I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work. I have no idea. But clearly that is the campaign strategy right now. Let's check out this clip. Hold on one second. All right. I said I would come on for like a couple minutes, and now it's been almost half an hour.
Brother, we are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back. We will not go back. Brother, we
will not go back. We cannot go back. We are not going back. We like how many ways can you say it, brother? Okay. Oh, there was one other thing. I might as well talk about this. And I don't know if I can find it right now. 1 second here. Oh, wait. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Give me a second. I want to talk about this article. It's on Counter Currents. I have no idea what this site is, but this is an interesting piece. Hold on. Okay, there we go. This is an interesting piece. I have no idea what this website is, but I saw this posted on Telegram. It says the rise of the single issue immigration voter. And I'm not going to read the whole piece to you, but basically what it talks about is how voters are really animated by immigration far more than abortion and guns. And what the takeaway here should be is that Republicans should not be focusing so much on these old school Republican issues because they tend not to be as popular. And when Trump, now mind you, I just was talking about how Kamala made the gun remark to attract white voters. That was more of a cultural play than it was like a political maneuver. It was more like her trying to signal to white men voters that now don't worry, like I'm not going to take your guns type thing. But this article talks about how immigration motivates Republican voters and voters on the right. And on the left, voters are motivated by abortion. And so immigration is one of these issues that's actually more popular than people think, like it being anti-illegal immigration, and in some ways against legal immigration, because the article talks about legal immigration too. And so it's one of those things where a lot of Republican consultant types think that if the GOP runs on immigration, they're going to lose because like Hispanics and whatever. And it's kind of this 2012 mentality. Remember, after 2012, they were going to do a whole post-mortem on the campaign, and what we have to do is we have to get rid of these politicians in our party who are always talking about illegal immigration. Remember, and maybe some may not remember, but in 2012, that is literally what the post-mortem was of the election about when Romney lost. That's what they were saying. They were saying the reason why Romney lost was because Hispanics see Republicans as anti-immigration and anti-illegal immigration. We have to do amnesty. We have to come up with an amnesty bill if we want to win an election. Because as you remember, Obama won like an overwhelming majority of Hispanics. And that was what they thought. So they started to push candidates like Rubio and Jeb Bush under the assumption that the reason why Obama won was because people don't like anti-immigration rhetoric. But boy, did they judge that wrong, because here comes a candidate promising to build a wall, talking about immigration nonstop, and then that candidate wins an upset electoral victory in 2016. And not only does he win, but he carries 30-something% of the Hispanic vote with him, more than Romney and more than previous Republican candidates, other than George W. Bush, who I think won 40-something%. But point is, it actually wasn't the immigration issue. And if anything, it's the opposite. The immigration issue is very popular. So it's just an interesting article. It's long. It has a lot of polling. But it's just worth considering, because it's just there's still kind of this orthodox belief that it's issues like this that Trump talks about that are the reason why he can't win like 50-60% of the Hispanic vote. But that's not true at all. So, and it's crazy too how Trump has really dragged the party and dragged the whole conversation about immigration. Like in elections past, you would hear about immigration, but Republicans would be afraid to talk about it because they would think they were going to alienate Hispanics. Now it's the total opposite. Trump talks about it nonstop, and he should, because it's an issue that is more popular than people think. Republican voters really care about it, and Democrat voters don't care as much about it. Meaning, if you are talking about immigration, you're not going to like freak out Democrats voting from you and independents voting from you the way you think they are. Democrats are concerned about abortion, and when you talk about abortion, they tend to vote Democrat, and they tend to come out in larger numbers for them. So that's that. Probably the last thing I want to talk about is I watched a clip, and I don't want to play it because sometimes they get me for copyright. But there's a CNN clip today of Harry Enton. I don't know if you're familiar with Harry Enton, but he basically says that, and let me just get back to, I wonder if I can pull it up, if there's like an article about it or something. 1 second here. Here it is. Yeah, okay, so here's the tweet from him. This is like the John King stand-in during the week. I mean, John King will do election night probably, but I think they're getting Harry Enton ready to take over. Actually, he's very fair. I've never found him to be very biased. I found him to be very impartial. So He says the race is tight, within 2 points in all 7 critical battlegrounds. Harris barely wins if the result matches the polls. So, if the polls are correct, Harris wins, but barely. But Trump crushes Harris and wins all key states with a 2020 like poll miss. So, if the polling misses like it did in 2020, now people don't like to discuss the polling miss of 2020 because they just remember, oh, polls showed Biden was going to win and Biden won. Well, it was more than that. Polls showed Biden winning by crazy numbers, and he didn't win by crazy numbers. He won very narrowly. So if the polls miss again and exaggerate the Democrat candidate like they did in 2020, Trump will win big. But there's a caveat yet again to that, and that is that Harris, though, crushes Trump and wins all of them with a 2022 like poll miss. So remember, 2022, we heard about a red wave. Republicans were going to win big. All the big issue was inflation. If you watch Fox News in 2021 and 2022, especially 2022, in the fall of 2022, you would have thought that there was no way that Republicans were going to do anything but completely obliterate their opponents politically in the midterms in 2022. But that did not happen. The opposite happened. I mean, Republicans, they won the House, but then the Senate did not go the way they thought it would. The polling was really off. So people have to take into account, and myself included, because I'm always thinking, well, 2020, the polls really got it really wrong, and they were really overestimating how well the Democrats would do. Well, in 2022, which is closer, it's only 2 years away, it was actually the opposite. And that was because of abortion. Many, many women and many voters in general came out to vote because remember, the Dobbs decision was in, I believe, was it June or July? It was in the summer of 2022. So in the months after the Dobbs decision, there was kind of a reaction to that. And the reaction was voters coming out in droves, voting Democrat and voting blue, maybe as a statement vote against Republican pro-life politicians. So will that happen again? I don't know. If the polling misses like 2020. Now, something that the Trump camp should keep in mind, and something that should give them some peace of mind, is that 2020 was really about COVID. And people were really not happy with how they viewed Trump handling COVID. Now, there were a lot of people who also wanted the country opened up, and Trump shifted to talking about that more. But the point is, I think the majority of people who voted on the issue of COVID were voting for Biden. So we don't have that same issue now, and Trump doesn't have that same issue. So if the election is about immigration, the economy, and whatnot, you'd think that it would favor him. The chances would favor it, be in his favor. So I just wanted to touch on that. So once again, if you are watching on Twitter, on X, please follow me, Florida Millennial. I'm at 430. I'm at 636 now. We're gunning for 1,000. So same on YouTube. Getting to 1,000 would be very key. So if you can go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to it, Florida Millennial. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I always get great numbers when I go live at this time. It's unfortunate that I can't do it every night, but I got to go eat. So thank you all for joining. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment. I will reply. Like the video. Everything else. And just wanted to hop on for a couple minutes, 40 minutes, to talk about those two breaking news items: the Nebraska electoral college news, and then the Virginia poll. People keep pouring in, like, more and more viewers as I'm leaving. So I'm tempted to stick around, but I've got nothing else. I've got nothing else for you here. 1 second. Let me just check my YouTube. I know most of you are watching on X, correct? If you're watching on YouTube, oh, we do have a couple comments. Yeah, you're late again, S. Russell. Late again. How many do we got on YouTube? 1 second here. I just talked for 40 minutes straight. You guys can deal with some dead air. Polls didn't say Biden will win Georgia. Yeah, that was the only one where they missed. They didn't say he would win Arizona. I think some did. I know they had him up. ABC News, I will never forget, and I never stop talking about it, and I don't care. I'm never going to stop talking about it. ABC News had Trump losing to Biden in Wisconsin by 14 points. I will never forget that. I'm actually curious now to find out what they thought about Arizona. Let me see 1 second. Arizona polling. Doing things on the fly here. All right, let's go to 538. Let's go to Nate Silver, the gold standard, right? Okay, October 25th, 2020, the polling aggregate: Biden 48, Trump 45. So, yeah, they had Biden leading by 3. I'm curious to find this poll here, the Wisconsin one. I'll never get over it. Okay, yeah, look. If a Trump supporter ever wants to be comfortable going into this election, go back and look at 2020 polls. Look at this. This is on Nate Silver's website, by the way. Biden leading in Wisconsin by 8. He won the election by 1. 1 point. Let me find it. I know it's an ABC one. I know it's a couple days for the election. See more. Yes. I was wrong. It was even worse. It was 17 points. ABC News, Washington Post poll conducted October 20th to the 25th. Biden 56, Trump 39. They were off by 17 points. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's take a look at Arizona. Why am I not showing you this tab? Hold on. Here's the Arizona aggregate in 2020. And here's all the different polls. So from September, how much do we got? We have from September to November. You had what? 6 polls. All 6 had Biden leading Trump by more than 3 points. Now, you bring up a point about Georgia. I do agree with you. I think Georgia, they had Trump winning. Well, maybe not. Wait, why isn't it showing me the polls in this one? Well, whatever. But look, there's the they had Biden. Wait, why can't I see that number? Biden leading by 1.5, so 48, 47 Biden. As part of a trial over a proposed merger between Kroger and Albertsons, Kroger's senior director of pricing admitted that the company raised prices for eggs and milk above inflation levels. Well, yeah, I mean, people are complaining about the grocers raising prices. The margins for grocers are very small. I think it's like 5%, 4%. It's not great. Like if you go across industries, It's easy to see why they had to raise their prices. Like, yeah, they're raising their. I'm not surprised they're raising their prices above inflation level because the margins in for grocers are horrible. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to look back. Even Florida, they had Trump losing Florida by 2 points. He won it. North Carolina, yeah, almost 2 points in North Carolina. Not what people want to hear, though. No, I know it's not. I know it's like people want to think that most people truly believe that it's just like a fat cat who's like running Kroger, who's like, inflation's going up. Let's make even more money. Let's raise the price of eggs to astronomical levels. So people don't want to. What do they want? They don't want to admit that inflation was caused by their government printing billions and billions of dollars, including Trump, by the way. We need new people, not and I love my regulars. Check it out, and as Russell, I love my OGs, but I mean, let's have some new. We need some new comments in the YouTube. How many? I'm really surprised that like X, I get way better viewership on X. I got 71 people watching this live, and I swear, I think like 68 of them are on X. Second. Yeah. Yeah, no wonder YouTube only 2 on YouTube. Very surprising. Uh, Also, Kroger and Albertsons should not merge. They will have a monopoly of markets. Well, Albertsons isn't everywhere, is it? Kroger, there are some Krogers, but not in my area. Although, is there in Florida? Nah, definitely Georgia. But you need to talk about Florida real estate crisis. People get 100K to a million in YouTube views. Um, well, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean real estate crisis? Are you talking about insurance? Insurance is like really through the roof down here. So insurance is a big problem in Florida. Um, Price of real estate in Florida varies depending on where you are. If you go to South Florida, it's very expensive. If you go other places, different. HOA ripoff, yeah, it's crazy. But I feel like HOA prices are everywhere are pretty bad. So, or rates, I should say, pretty bad. So, in my neighborhood, I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but just in terms of election stuff, in my neighborhood, because I just saw a tweet here. It says, "I'm sitting at a Chick-fil-A in Charlotte, and this guy's wearing a Harris Walls camo hat right next to me." Um, in my area, I've seen 3, no, 4 Trump flags and 2 Harris flags. I have not seen a single sign. I don't know. No, sorry, I did see a sign the other day. I did see 1 Trump sign the other day, but I don't see signs anymore. I see flags everywhere. There is a new law in Florida requiring HOA to cover building costs and build up HOA reserves. Yes, I think this probably has to do with um Surfside. I don't know if you remember the Surfside collapse happened what 2, 3 years ago. Can't remember exactly when that was. So I think that's probably, if I had to guess, that's probably in response to that. Not a lot of signs or anything in my neighborhood. No, mine either. When I was here, before I lived down here, I came in 2016 for family vacation, and this was early September, so earlier than now, in the first week of September. And mind you, this was up. I was in Jacksonville, then I was in Orlando, and then I was in St. Pete, and I saw so many Trump signs and flags and bumper stickers. It was like crazy. And I went into that trip thinking that Trump probably was not going to win. And I came home thinking, wow, like he is definitely winning, at least in Florida, because you had whiplash seeing all the Trump stuff. So, but yeah, I have not seen very much. I don't know if people are like, I don't know if people are like scared to put up this stuff anymore. South Florida in midst of condo crisis as rising HOA fees lead to surge in listings. Don't know how I'm going to stay. New York Post article. Yeah. If I had to guess though, a lot of that's happening in Miami because Miami is very, very expensive to live. A lot of people are moving out of Miami and they go to maybe they go a little bit north to Fort Lauderdale, maybe they go more north all the way to Orlando, or they go to Tampa west, so to the Gulf Coast. But yeah. Well, I mean, and what's happening too is the building costs are high, the insurance is high. So developers and builders are having to charge a lot because it's just so expensive to develop. I know that right now a lot of developers in Florida are pencils down, meaning they're not building at all. A lot of and people say, "Well, how can that be?" Because I go to Miami and all I see is cranes and all I see is construction. That's true because a lot of these projects were approved much earlier. You know, they were approved 2 years ago. The process takes so long and it's so laborious that it's kind of what happens. Got to go eat. Talk to you later. Okay, thank you. Check it out. Appreciate you as always. I'm starving and it's 9 o'clock. I only came on for a couple minutes and I've come on for an hour. Okay, I don't mind though because I wasn't streaming very much earlier this week. Thank you to all who have joined. If you're joining on X, Twitter, follow me, Florida Millennial. If you're on YouTube, or even if you're not on YouTube, follow me and subscribe to me on YouTube, Florida Millennial. I go live hopefully every night around this time, and I've just released a couple videos, a couple posts. One about the Teamsters refusing to endorse anybody, and the other one is about best case scenario for Trump on election night. I'm going to do a best case scenario for Kamala so people don't freak out. I mean, people are already commenting in the, but whatever. Engagement is good, positive or negative. Thank you, S. Russell. See you, man. Have a good night. Same to you. I will see you guys. I'm probably not going to be doing a stream tomorrow night or over the weekend. I might do something small here and there, like maybe late, like midnight or whatever. Who knows? But since I'm such a night owl, it's crazy. Like if I had my ideal, I would just do this forever, and I would do a show like I would do a show 9 to 12, and then I'd finish the show. I'd eat at midnight. I'd go to bed at like 3 a.m. Wake up at 10. It's horrible, but I do my best thinking, and I like being up late at night. I don't know what it is. I have to fix it. I have to fix it. But unless this YouTube channel goes crazy and I'm just a millionaire streamer, which really is the plan. So let's speak it into existence. All right, everybody, we will see you. Look, I'm at my highest viewership right when I'm about to leave. It always happens. It always happens. 73. 73. I don't know. How is it possible? Because God bless X, because I think that's where a lot of people are seeing it. I don't know. If you're watching this on X right now, like the live post, like my Twitter post of this live video. So I know, just so I know you're real and you're not bots. Maybe you are. I don't know. Anyways, okay, I'm going before I get to like 100 views. All right, I'm going. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you soon. God bless.